going to try to do this relatively spoiler light, and if you want a really spoiler version of my take on Prometheus, you can go to thesubstream.com on Friday, because I'll be writing a really long review of this thing too. I've been waiting for this movie for a long time, and I'm thrilled to be able to say, I think Prometheus is terrific. Like, I think this is a really great film. I suspect a lot of the audience is going to be divided on this movie, and that some of the audience will find that it is lacking in comparison to its most direct antecedent, which is, of course, Alien. That's not really a fair matchup. Alien has a significantly easier job to do than Prometheus. Alien, for all of its trappings, is just basically a slasher movie. It's using science fiction to get at what its slasher is, but it's never stopping to consider the implications of any of its concepts. It's just trying to scare the hell out of you. Prometheus, on the other hand, is actual true science fiction, which means it is stopping to contemplate the meaning of the ideas behind the science fiction framework the story's being told in. That's a lot harder to do, and I'd argue that the film is basically completely successful at doing that. So, in Prometheus, a bunch of humans find some cave paintings which indicate that the human race may have been engineered by an alien race millions of years ago, and they go off into the cosmos to find those people. The first two acts of the film are basically like a Star Trek episode, as these guys are kind of wandering around on an alien world and getting into various kinds of trouble. And then the movie just goes berserk. Like, the third act of this movie is incredibly intense. It actually kind of gave me a window into what it would have been like to watch Alien in 1979. I was completely freaked out. I'd argue if you can't handle the Fincher version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, this is probably too much movie for you. It certainly affected me. The film is obviously incredibly well made. It is relentlessly edited. I would say that Ridley Scott probably learned something from doing his director's cut of Alien for the DVD about 10 years ago. The only director's cut in history where he added things to the movie and yet the running time is shorter because he just kind of pruned the whole thing down. Prometheus feels just as focused and, if anything, even faster and more kind of on mission of what it's trying to do. It is also, and this will surprise no one, pictorially gorgeous. The art direction is phenomenal, and the photography by Darius Wolski, who is actually one of my favorite cinematographers, is just jaw-dropping. See it in 2D, see it in 3D. It is well worth your time and your eyeballs on that level alone. But say you didn't want to watch Prometheus, what should you watch instead? Well, and here's where we really cut the balls off the concept of watch this instead, because I'm saying the film is exceptional. But it really reminded me of Star Trek The Next Generation, which is one of my favorite shows from when I was growing up, and I was 11, 12 when I started watching it, so it was really one of my first introductions to science fiction and the things that it could do. Next Gen's being re-released on Blu-ray starting in July, but what I want you to do is wait until the 6th season is released, because there's an episode in there that's basically exactly like Prometheus. It's called The Chase, and it's about Picard and his crew discovering that the entire human race was seeded by an alien race millions of years ago. And what I love about it is Star Trek in continuity explaining why all of the aliens on Star Trek look like human beings, because they were all seeded by the same human-like race millions of years ago, when the out-of-continuity reason for it is, of course, they just never had enough money. Go see Prometheus. I highly recommend it. It is an intense film, so your mileage may vary on that regard, but it is otherwise, I think, an incredible encapsulation of everything Scott did with the original film and everything that science fiction can do in filmmaking today.